So after the Calderon Supreme Council,
Mhm.
everything will be back to May and June.
Yes,
May
yes, yes.
election, June term,
June
start
June
of
term.
term,
Yep. Yes. Because
and and
there's no imminent reason for them to change the dates. Eh. There's
now,
no.
of course, sir, we were talking about the regional commanders meeting that you attended, and this
Mm,
was the
mm,
consensus sentiment. Now, how
mm,
about the people in the Supreme Council? Would they want to? I know that during the Ibanez Supreme Council, when they extended, I know not everybody was active anymore. Of course,
yeah.
the pandemic was pretty scary, a
Mm,
hundred times scary than now,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
people were shocked, and they actually tried to have programs like essays and everything, which
Mm,
did not
mm,
come to fruition.
yeah. Yeah.
But this time around, with the Calderon Supreme Council itself,
Mm,
what do they think? Do they want 6 months? I know the regional commander, there's a consensus, but does the
mm.
Supreme Council, all nine of them, want?
But
Because they signed up
as far
for.
as
Mhm.
far as the decision of the
Yes, sir.
yeah, as far as the decision of the the individual Supreme Council officers, I could not answer for them as to what do they think. But seriously, I could not answer for them as to what do they think. But seriously, they as far as delicadeza is concerned, I don't think they should be this because at the end of the day, extend or no extend, the end beneficiary is actually them. The regional commanders are basically just recommending to the Supreme Council to raise it to the Council of Elders so that the Council of Elders can make a
Sure.
decision out of it because the end beneficiary will be the Supreme Council. And if I were, if it's just me, if I were a member of the Supreme Council, I wouldn't even touch the recommendation of the regional commanders or the 10-foot pole because
Uh,
if it gets granted, then I would be seen as someone who took advantage of that recommendation. If I go that recommendation, if I go against it, and then I would be seen as someone from the regional commander's perspective as you're not the one managing the region seriously as an individual, as an individual. We're the one running it, and we're having issues on how to go about it based on the current conditions that we have. So,
yes.
it's a recommendation that actually looks into the order long term,
Yes.
and one of the things that we have be our group act in order to help the order long term.
Now.
Because
Mhm.
if we're going to do this on May 2023, we have not really corrected we have not really corrected the course, and
Now,
we're
sir.
just passing it to the next guy.
Yes, sir. Now, sir, I just wanted to inject something to playing the
Mm,
devil's advocate. If we were to call it quits in May as
mm,
and have an election, really the only one that has their hands tied is the Supremo, because all these Supreme Council members can run again. It's
mm,
nothing. In fact, it would be a fresh start if reshuffling of the Supreme Council is needed.
mm,
Really, uh, who the one person that's really highly affected by the movement of the clock would really only be, if I would dare to say, because he can't run again. Whereas the
mm,
other
mm,
members of the Supreme Council, they can run again. If they did a good job, they could be elected again.
mm, mm.
What
But
what what can you say about that, sir?
the thing is, remember, even if we do a 2023 elections this
Yes, sir.
year,
Yes, sir.
uh,
Yes, sir.
uh, to forcibly, what they call this, I would call not really forcibly, but really
Artificial? Oh,
hastily correcting the problem of the timing.
yes, sir.
We're also hurting a lot of we're already February 24 right now,
Yes, sir.
and March and April and May are already just 3 months away. we're going to prepare for a general assembly. Where's the location? We have to create the COMELEC immediately. And what is the effect of this coming back in the US, Europe, in wherever places from the international community? So as early as March, they should be booking flights, or mid-March, they should be booking flights going back to the Philippines by May. And that is
Unless
going to be very expensive.
they hold
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
virtual.
A virtual,
And
and the thing is, if we're going to hold a virtual elections right now, the most practical thing is to do and use the previous system, which is another $30 on top.
Okay.
Because the practicality of it is that we don't have time to prepare for anything less.
So, sir, if you were the spokesperson of the regional commander, how would you legitimize the additional 6 months of this Supreme Council, and also the term of the
As I've
coterminous
always said,
officers?
the bylaws are very clear.
Yes, sir.
We have elected a supreme commander that is on a 2-year term. Shortening that, I don't have anything else, but unless it is the decision of the supreme commander to shorten it, and that is to shorten it by resignation or by calling a general assembly ahead of time. But that is his decision. Then that is within the powers of the supreme commander is to call general assemblies. That is within his sole power. Now, in the case of a scheduled general assembly like this, that is why the regional commanders intervene, because there is a question of law in terms of terms. No, that's number one. And second, there's also a question on practicality on how we're going to do this in a short period of time. Number three, if we're during the Ibanez cabinet or the Ibanez council at the height of the pandemic, it's technically being frowned out, the regional
Yes.
commanders, additional $30 and additional X amount of money. We really find it off. So those are the things that are bothering us as regional commanders when we look at the issues involving doing an election for 2023. To us, just if we're just going to stay put for the next 6 months and have a better view, better grip of how things are to come, maybe next year we have a better we have a better quarantine system in place. Travel will be easier, just like before, because we're now seeing a lot of things opening up and improving. So why not ride on that? Why not ride on that particular circumstances rather than jump in now and then we just don't end up spending more money for nothing, than just wait for the next 6 months and then do things better.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity. I know that you were part of the 2022, 2023, 2024 schism. Are you optimistic that something like that wouldn't happen because of this issue?
Actually, if we were back in 2003, if there's any schism, an extension of 6 months for everyone is actually fair, because it's giving everyone a level playing field. If they have any intentions of taking the Supreme Council, if they want to become the next Supreme Commander, the other team to prepare to make a run. So any politician who is given extra amount of time to prepare, they'll take it, so long as it's a status quo.
Yes.
And that is one thing that the regional commanders have also thought of, is that we are not going to what they call this, favor any particular group or any particular candidate when we wanted when we made this recommendation. That is why all means all. I mean, all members of the Supreme Council will practically be a beneficiary of the postponement of elections.
Yes,
It's
sir.
basically status quo.
Now, sir, obviously also
Mhm.
the 2018, I think, had the vision of something like this happening. In fact, in
Mhm.
Article 11, as part entitled Council of Elders, if I could read it for you, Section
Yeah.
1, there shall be a Council of Elders, an incumbent
Mhm.
Supreme Commander. Section 2, the Council of Elders may be consulted by the Supreme Council on vital matters affecting the interest integrity of the order. And
Mhm.
one very big caveat is that Section 2B, and it might be necessary here and might not be, but it's a good
Mhm.
insurance in the
Mhm.
event of a dispute causing serious dissension in the Supreme Council or the unlawful disposition of
Mhm.
the assets of the order. Any three of the executive officers of the council, or at least 10 chapters in good standing. So two oars, the Supreme Commander, three members of the executive
Mhm.
officers out of nine, or 10 chapters in good standing, may petition the Council of Elders for intervention. Council of Elders shall exert all efforts to mediate the dispute, and in case of the failure, decide by same by majority vote of its members in accordance with the rules it may promulgate for the purpose. Its
Yep.
decision shall be final and immediately executory. So this really is a an answer to the nightmare of the schism. And so, sir, in that case, sir, I would like to thank you, and I would like to give you the last word. If you have anything
Mhm.
else that you want to remind
Yeah.
our knights who are concerned,
Yeah.
either side of the issue.
Other side of the spectrum.
Yes,
So
sir.
yes, the recommendation of the regional commanders, as we have got it collegially. I am only but the regional affairs guy of the Supreme Command. I'm just the mouthpiece of the other regional commanders. I'm sure they could also speak for themselves as far as their regions are concerned. We're just setting the course straight with finality. It's That's what I said during our meeting. All means all, and that's what I said during our meeting. All means all. When all the Supreme Council members would be affected or beneficiary of the postponement of elections, that's going to be all of them. So, and the expenses are quite enormous when it comes to international assembly, and I think I could speak for almost all of the regional commanders when I say we do not want an extra charge on per capita just to vote, because that is something that should be inherent in our right to vote, our rights to vote when it comes to our per capita, when especially when you are an active paying member of the chapter and that of the order. So that is the only thing that we'd like to do, and have a lasting resolution by doing the May 2024 elections. We won't be having this discussion in the future. So we are able to correct the timeline for the order with finality. That is all, my brother knights, and have always shown the Supreme Council. Thank you, sirs.
Thank you, sir, and none omnis moriar.
One